Hi, everybody. It's Spicey Fridays with Zev and Sarah. Say hi, Sarah.
Hey guys, hello world. How's it going?
Nothing's off limits here. We're delving into relationships and we're looking behind the curtain and we're looking at the real side of relationships. I guess the things that people don't talk about, we do. And we're basically, there's no holds barred here. We're going to try to cover topics, whether they be mundane or hot. We're going to get there because Sarah and I have been relationship coaches and therapists for a long, long time. Me focusing on couples and trying to move them forward. Sarah focusing on um,
Infidelity recovery.
quality, which is a extremely hot topic and very difficult for people. And really, the definition, defining, what infidelity is even a hard thing. What's cheating? What's this?
Well,
We're going
we
to get into that. What is porno? Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Is it a useful thing? Is it a terrible thing? Is it cheating? These are the kinds of issues that go unsaid between couples. And what happens because of that is that, couples basically sneak around. They sneak around their partners and, the honesty starts to drop because there's no conditions for honesty. The conditions aren't there for a couple to be honest. If you feel that you can't be who you really are and talk about what you really need and what you want, well, guess what? Humans sneak around. They do what they have to do, and people don't like to feel sneaky. I mean, maybe some people do. I don't. I like to be upfront and straight up. I'm lucky. I've been married next Friday 43 years, so I think I have some experience.
yes.
And I married a childhood sweetheart who lived across the street from myself, and we've carved out a life for ourselves with great happiness, some tragedy and adversity, but a real life. And I can say pretty much anything I want. And I know that's not, the case. For instance, some people, they act, there's a kind of a punishment obedient kind of relationship where, I was a bad boy or you're a good girl or that kind of thing. And people, I mean, maybe in playing things out that might be okay, but in living where you have to feel that that you're going to get in trouble, that you've married your mother, or something, and that you're going to get spanked, or maybe some people like that too. I don't know. I
Maybe.
know I know they do, and I think they do. Um, but the important thing is here is we're going to get real, and we're going to there's nothing off limits, and we encourage you to please let us know on our LinkedIn channels what you want to hear about. Tell us, and we'll be happy to talk about it because these things need to come out. And just to begin, Sarah and I recently wrote a book, not on relationships. We wrote a book, Discover Your Amazing Edge, and we have soon. This is really in lieu of a podcast, which we'll probably apply this stuff to. But let's start today with something that in this office. And by the way, I'm in my office. When the door opens and I see a couple for the first few times, the one thing I see more than anything else is two people who want to be right. They just, I'm right, you're wrong, you did this. So you have two people who want to be right, but they're not very happy. So what's the point of that? I mean, it seems that you want to be right or what, Sarah? I mean, you
Do
want
you want to be right or do you
to.
want to get laid? That's what it comes down to. Because if you are having to be right all the time, what happens is your partner will emotionally shut down. And that doesn't create a premium area for intimacy.
Yeah, the climate is awful. It's a terrible climate for intimacy when you feel like, oh, well, he's always right, she's always right. It's kind of like it's a defensive position and you fall into it. Who wants to make love with somebody that's always right all the time? Who wants to, get intimate and share those wonderful moments? People wonder why in the beginning, why was it so hot? Why did we always, want to be with each other and talk to each other and touch each other and hey, be with each other, naked, clothed, whatever. And the reason is it was hot. We,
Yes, yeah.
and those are the intimate memories that I think are important for any of you out there who are trying to rekindle, we call it, the your relationship. Light that fire. You might not be able to get back to the way it was in the beginning. When both of you were two strange people, and people always looking at the strange, and you were just all over each other. You couldn't get enough of each other. That's all you wanted. You were in this bubble. What happened? What happened to that? It
Yeah,
just
what happened?
what happened to it is life happened to it. And instead of adjusting and recognizing that two people who love each other should be able to create and carve out an environment where you could say what's on your mind. Hey, honey, I'm horny. I'm horny. And we don't necessarily have to do, the big event. We don't have to rock the bed. We don't have to rock the kitchen table, or the counter or do anything like that. But there are a lot of other things you can do,
Yeah,
to satisfy your person that you basically profess to love so much. And I want you to focus out there. We do Spicy Fridays on Friday because Friday is the weekend. It's an opportunity for you. I know everybody's busy, everybody's stressed, and people come into it but it is an opportunity if you open it up, if you put some time into getting on the same page with your spouse and really talking about what's real. That's if you have a partner who's open to it. And I think, that if you don't have a partner that's open to it, you should raise your hand, and say, hey, where do you go? Mr. or Mrs. Open, that used to be open and we used to be in love and we used to talk and we used to be so happy. I'm not happy. I'm
yeah,
horny. I'm not, I feel like I can't ask you, for the, to meet any needs. I feel like I have to tiptoe around or I'm going to wake up, the devil and you're going to scream at me. Another issue I hear so much about. Hey, Sarah, you like people screaming at you?
no.
Do you love to be screamed at? Somebody just yell at you at the top of their freaking lungs. Sarah, you're this, you're terrible. I hate this. I hate that. Instead of, hey, Sarah, I like it when you do that. I
Right.
like when you do that, Sarah. I like when you touch me that way, Sarah.
Yeah.
I like when you hug me that way, Sarah. Instead of you always screw up. Basically you're just a shithead. And that's what I think about. And I just wish for the times when I go, what did I sign up for?
Right.
I didn't sign up for this shit. I
And,
signed up for happiness.
right. And from a woman's point of view, I mean, women can equally yell at men. I have seen situations where the wife is actually the yeller in the family.
And me too. Hey, look, sometimes we marry the things that are familiar to us. And trust
Childhood wounds.
me as somebody who has seen couples for 30 years. I've been seeing couples for 30 years. I ask them one of the first questions in the first couple of weeks is, what was it like in your family? How was your mom and dad? What'd they do? Did they yell a lot? Did they look angry like they were going to kill, each other? Or were they loving and caring and open and they seemed to be satisfied? Or were they completely unsatisfied? We marry and we hook up with people who are extremely familiar, whether we like it. That's what humans do. And so what happens is all of a sudden you find yourself, what did I do? I married my father. I didn't, my father wasn't nice to me all the time. I have strong feelings about, my father, let's say, and here all of a sudden after the dust clears and a year or two or 5 or 20 go by, oh my God, I'm the same as they were.
Right. And the reason that this happens is because when we grow up, we learn how to operate within a particular framework. We learn what works. It's a survival mechanisms. So we may say on a conscious level, I don't want to marry my father who's a yeller. Now, my own father and my own mother were not yellers, by the way, but somebody who grew up in this household, they may say consciously, I don't want to marry that person who yelled at me. I don't want to marry my dad or my mom. But the thing is that familiarity has been programmed into us. And so we may not see the red flags because we feel a certain comfort. That's the paradox.
Because humans are comfortable with the familiar, whether even if it's uncomfortable. I'd say that we're comfortably uncomfortable, or that we're uncomfortably comfortable. It's kind of a crazy paradox, but the truth is that there's something settling about being, in the kind of under the bubble that I mean, you walk into other families, you see the way they act to each other. Some people are extremely, reserved. Some people let it all out. You go, oh my God, behind this door, it's crazy. These people scream at each other, they yell at each other. They don't even know that they're hurting each other. When you yell, I mean, if you're angry, and God knows, people give each other reason to be angry. And when we get angry, we do in some ways have a right, to get angry and yell. But you know what? When you yell, basically you bring on the flight response.
Right.
I mean, and we know about that response. It's a very it's a human condition,
Yeah.
and the first yelling starts, about the first 10 seconds after the yelling, they shut it down.
Yeah.
Yell for another hour.
The cortisol starts flooding your brain. And there's a certain threshold where you cannot stop the cortisol. It has to work through your system. And that's why you want to, to flee the situation or fight or there's a third thing that people do, and that's called fawning. So now we have fight, flight, and fawn. Some people have learned how to exist by appeasing people when they're yelling.
And we understand, what, the appeasement process is. And by the way, you hear that sound? Guess what that is? That's Sarah's dog. I hear Sarah's dog, over there, right?
Oh no, they gave me away.
Your lovely dogs that you have.
Yes.
Either they're sleeping. I hope they're having a good time.
They're in dreamland right now. They sit behind me on my couch. I'm also in my home office. And yes, Ruben and Barkley. I don't even know if you can see the top of one of them. Let's see. Hello. There's one of them. Okay. Sorry, ignoring dogs.
It's all good. It's all good. I just happened to pick that up. I was going, what's that? Oh, I know that sound. It's the sound of Sarah's dog.
Yep. Ruben and Barkley having an afternoon nap.
So getting back to yelling, stop yelling. I mean, say it. Say it and listen. We get into the whole issue of we yell because we think, how do we get this person to listen? Like, don't you have 2 ears? Don't you hear what I'm saying? What do I have to do? Stand up on the roof? Do I have to take all my clothes off, stand up on the roof, and tell you that, I need some frickin' attention. And yelling is a way, the way kids are, they cry. Kids cry. I was just at my, grandkids the other day. They know how to work it. They know how to work it good. Their parents, good. When they cry, the world stops. And they know it because it's just kind of an intuitive human kind of thing. But and so, okay, you yell, stop yelling. It's not doing you any good. You'd be better off, going into the bathroom and yelling at the toilet bowl, because the toilet bowl would have a better response than a human who's shut down. And we shut down because we just can't take it. It's in our biology. It's in our genetics. We don't. We run. We put our shoes on, or whatever, and we run as far as we possibly can. And if you keep yelling, that's what's going to happen. And the person's going to become even more disinterested. Actually, they won't just be watching TV; they'll be in the TV. They'll like start to like migrate into the TV because it's a better place to be than with this person who's yelling. Even though you have look, I'm not saying you're not legitimate. It's legitimate. Yelling, I mean, being angry is legitimate. It's important to say. So the suggestion to couples is carve out a little time, open your ears, not too long. Not and don't all of a sudden, I've had people come into my office and so what brings you here, to my office to talk about your relationship, and out comes the list, like this, out of the pocket, 5 pages. 5 pages. I've seen 10 pages. Somebody who sat down and wrote 10 pages of their complaints about how shitty their relationship is and how they can't stomach, or God knows what, this person, that they sleep next to. Right? I mean, I've heard it. I know it because that's the thing I chose to do. I find it to be challenging. I liked even though Sarah and I have branched off, from couples counseling in a lot of ways, we're in it, and we realize that we need to share this experience that we have, and we need to share it in this kind of format where we really get down, to the to the naked truth. And our hope is that the two of you get naked more often, because it would probably be better for you. And one of the big things with me is, and you'll hear me say it a lot because I'll probably say it every week: explore, experiment, and play. That's what couples have to do. It gets boring. People, I can't stand this. I'm bored out of my mind. Why do people travel? Why do they go on cruises? They want excitement. They want to bring excitement into their lives, and more power to them. I've seen couples who tell me about Vacation Bob. I love Vacation Bob. Vacation Bob hugs me, kisses me, touches me in places, that I fantasize about. And on said cruise ship, on the Love Boat, they get on the Love Boat, the door closes, the waves are going like this, and the bed's rocking.
And the Love Boat. Remember that theme song?
I mean, I think there's a lot of screwing going on the Love Boat, but I also think there's a lot of not screwing, because some people are so damn angry at each other that they've just stopped and they don't do it. They're not going to do it until there's some kind of intervention. But other people, are able to get away, and literally by getting away, they change the environment, and they can be Vacation Bob, or Vacation Karen, or Vacation whoever. And vacation, I've heard it. I can't tell you how many times, how much they love that person, and how much they wish, that person. I mean, we can't be that way every day. Life is tough. Work is tough. These are very, difficult times for a lot of people. No joke. On Mondays, Sarah and I do, a podcast live, and that podcast deals, with how to, get yourself out of the stuck positions that you're in. But on Fridays, we decided a few weeks ago that it's a shame for us not to share this kind of knowledge with you. We have tons. I did 50 TV shows on relationships, and it's been, before COVID. COVID kind of, slapped everybody. And I guess since I mentioned, that horrible word COVID also screwed up a lot of relationships. people, spend too much time with each other, way too much time with each other, and they were not able. And since they already were in a predicament, they didn't have a good relationship when COVID starts. It was a torture. It was a torture chamber. I know plenty of divorces that happened. I know people that literally came home, to notes after COVID opened up, that they found an apartment and moved away.
Wow, that's shocking.
That was that was a reality of something so unnatural and so insane. Anybody who experienced COVID understands that that was abnormal, and no getting away with the boys, no girls' night out, just television, bad news, the kids, bills, and all the rest of the crap that we all have to deal with. That's the business of relationships. um, but look, there's a lot that can happen. I was lucky enough before COVID to do a seminar, a weekend seminar called Unlimited Stimulation. We had couples who came, they got on the hot seat in front of other couples as witness. I did this with a famous hypnotist, Marshall Silver. I was very fortunate to be able to do that because he's an amazing guy, and you should look him up and check him out. That's Marshall Silver, and I learned so much. And there we were at the Certainty Theater for 3 days with couples who basically got down to business of being real. And we talked about everything. We talked about being closed, being not, being angry, all that. It all came out. And we asked the right questions, and people responded beautifully. And perhaps, we can get into that at some point on these Spicy Fridays. I mean, there are couples who could benefit greatly from that.
Right. And we would love it if you could even just shoot us a direct message on LinkedIn, and we would be happy to keep your question anonymous. So we would be happy to do that for you.
First, I went offline for 1 second. That was kind of strange. We're here using our StreamYard and learning the ins and outs of it, and all of a sudden my screen just went white. I was like, oh my goodness gracious, technical. Not my forte. And I'm going, do they see me? Do they not see me? For those of you who are technically savvy, more power to you. Because
I didn't see the blip.
so I guess it was on my end.
Yeah.
Let's cover one more topic, which I think we'll only begin to cover, and that's the whole issue of porn.
Yes.
Porno during when I was growing up, and I imagine I was 11 years old, and I shared a room with my brother. And the luckiest day of my life was the day I lost my shoe. Okay, and went and found my shoe under my brother's bed. And also I found a pile of Playboy magazines. I mean, they couldn't find me for about a few weeks. People would go, "Where's Zev?" Zev, was in his room.
Zev likes to read.
Yeah, Zev is a really amazing reader. He's like, he just inhales it.
Yeah.
But that's where it was back then. Back then, it was that dirty magazine that always happened to find its way into many people's fathers wherever, hiding places. And I know that today there's all kinds of discs and things, people sneaking around. But porn has opened up a whole different level of reality for couples because it's 24/7. It's some beautiful and horrible, some of the most depraved kind of crap that you could ever see in your life, and also some of the most beautiful. And I would make one statement here, and that is whether we like porn, we don't like porn, whether we use porn, for stimulation to get ourselves excited, or whatever we do, there's a problem with porn. And porn, there's a lot of trafficked people inside of the porno world, and that is an extreme negative and something, it would be wonderful if people voluntarily, did some of the things that they do, but it's not all that. And
No.
I think you have to be careful. And of what you're looking at. Look, humans have all kinds of tastes. I mean, look what happened when 50 Shades of Craziness came out. I mean, they were very popular movies. Hey, how come they were so popular? Sarah, any idea why were these movies so amazingly popular? A young woman, amazing looking woman. I forgot her name. The daughter of Griffith,
Yeah.
and and this other guy, um, who had these secret craziness. Why were they so popular? Why do people want to hear about S and M?
Right?
Why?
I'm going to give a huge generalization because when 50 Shades of Grey came out and everybody was talking about it, like all the other housewives are talking about it, um, and moms, like I'm a mom, uh, I bought the book and I was like, wow. The first thing that struck me was this is an abusive dynamic here. When I did not see the movies, so I can't speak to the movies, but I couldn't finish the book because I noticed a bit of an abusive dynamic. But on the other hand, that could fall into the kink category. And kink is a very deeply psychological thing for many people. It's part of their identity. And I respect that actually. And I think it needs to be normalized. But I think there's a part of people that want to be wanted so badly. And that's probably what 50 Shades of Grey was about. Was the main character was this wealthy, debonair, young executive, handsome, the dream list that many women develop due to Disney movies, right? Grown up Disney movies.
Prince Freaky Charming.
Yeah, he's Prince Freaky Charming. Right. So she meets Prince Freaky Charming when she's a starving student. And she gets to live this dream life, kind of like Cinderella, but then they infuse the kink. And I think a lot of women want to be wanted and desired the way that he desired her in that series. And sometimes there are mixed messages. Like, I don't know. I
Oh,
hear.
there's perhaps some prices you shouldn't have to pay. If you want, I mean, look, it's okay. Fantasy, and we'll talk about fantasy, a different time, but fantasy is a big, big part. I mean, people have sexy dreams. People dream about, crazy things and things they don't want to admit that turn them on. I mean, let's be real. Everybody, has that to some extent, and you're not under any obligation to tell anybody about your fantasies. But what if you could? What if you were in a relationship where you were able to discuss, not requiring your partner to do anything, but just the mere fact that you could talk about it? And I encourage you out there, hey, couples, be real. Talk about the real stuff. Your partners, you sleep next to each other. You hear each other snore. You see each other in the worst, times of your life. You see each other when you look the worst, and you get used to that. How could you not? And it's just a rhetorical question because we know the answer is that people just get into these routines where their relationships become dull and terrible and horrible, and they don't, they cease to touch, and they cease to be excited, they cease to think, to be creative, and find ways to be excited, because the truth is they're not willing to talk about some risque stuff. I encourage you, try it out.
Yeah.
Talk. I'm not
Right.
asking you to do anything, but talk
Even,
about it. Talk
yeah.
about, show your partner that you're somebody who, you don't have to be one of the boys or one of the girls, because God knows, to be in one of those conversations, where the girls night out and the boys not night out, it's like a bunch of horn dogs. I mean, just like, talking about what they wish would happen, between their legs, and all the kinds of ways. And lucky for you that you have friends that you're able to talk about that, because we're humans, and we will always be thinking it. Some of us just do not have any outlets, to be able to talk about it. So the more outlets we have, the better. But there's at home, what's happening at home. That's really what we're trying to do here. And also for those of you who are, looking for a partner or who have experienced, the bad dates, the creepy people. I mean, there's a lot of creepy people out there. In case you didn't notice, I know I notice it all the time. I notice it at malls. I notice it when I'm walking around. I notice it at the beach. I'm like, look, there's those people, and there's, oh my goodness, the creep factor. So, I
Right.
mean, let's be careful out there because there are some scary situations.
There are.
But
I
it,
would, yeah, I would not want to be single. The single scene scares me.
I understand, and rightfully so, because I mean,
It
look,
really does.
it comes down to trust. I mean, you're trusting your instincts of needing to want to be with somebody and close to somebody, and you want to, like the song says, you want to feel the heat with somebody. You want to feel the heat with somebody. That's a human quality. Um, these days we have to be a little more careful about all that. And it's not a lecture; it's just a reality. And
And
maybe like in the Wizard of Oz, maybe what you're looking for is in your own backyard, and you're missing an opportunity at your house.
how about the Pina Colada song? If you like pina coladas, right? That's
Right?
what the song's about. It's about he posts a personal ad describing the perfect woman, and then his wife finds it and says, "Yes, I love pina coladas and
Yeah.
get caught in the rain."
The
Right?
connection was there, and you had to find the connection, in some weird, walk around, around the whatever way, when really, if you talk to each other, and more so if you listen, be a listener, be open to, this weekend, be more open. Take a little bit of time. I mean, I wouldn't want to say what the statistics are for how much time couples spend with each other, talking to each other, because it's not very complimentary. And wouldn't want to hear it. It varies, but it's not very favorable. And the reason it's not very favorable is because people just get used to, they take a lot of shit out on their in their relationships,
They do.
because life isn't always full of the milk of human kindness, and people don't like where they work, or they're angry, or they don't have what they really want, or they want more than they have,
Right?
and they take it out on their partner. And I think there has to be some kind of place where the two of you recognize that that's also part of a relationship, is the ability to be supportive and recognize that maybe what your spouse is saying to you, or what your relationship is saying to you, isn't really as negative as you think it is, because you're not hearing the really true message that's trying. It's what's called, that there's too much noise in the delivery, but inside there is this message where I want to hear you, I want to be with you, I love you, we signed on together, I want to have something different than we have. So what if we're in some kind of routine, negative routine? Let's get ourselves, let's extricate ourselves out of that routine.
And sometimes you don't even speak it. You can actually start playing a song. For example, that song by Elton John. I forget the name now, but there's a song by Elton John. And then there's the song that goes, I want you to want me. I need you to need me. I love you to love me. I beg you to beg me. Right? That song.
I mean, it's kind of obvious what the message is. I think a
Right?
lot of people are thinking, what that song's saying. And, maybe this weekend, as we're winding down here today on Spicey Fridays, maybe that's a good thing that's important, to think about is, you wanted each other, and you worked hard to be with each other, and you're still with each other, even if it's shitty. You're still with each other. If you're still with each other, then there's some hope. And take that hope and build on the hope. And you do that by listening. 3 needs. Honey, tell me 3 things I'm not doing, that you'd like me to think about doing. You don't have to do it. You're under no obligation to do anything. You don't have to do a damn thing. But listening, that's something I think that, that couples um, could do if you put yourself out a little more. And 3 things, not 3,000 things on that terrible list, in every department. You don't do this, you don't do that, you're terrible, I can't stand this, I can't stand that. And let's leave it today, with telling your spouse maybe this weekend, you know what, honey, I like it when you do this. I like it when you're affectionate. And even for 30 seconds of a hug, 30 seconds, when you hug a little more. Let those hands wander a little bit. Move your hands down their back, on
Let
their arms.
the, the
The,
brain.
the message will come through. I'm wanted. I'm needed.
And here's a shortcut. Get your soaker tub in your master bath if you have one. Fill it up. Put on some scented candles and some music and just lead your partner in.
And even if they don't join you in the bathtub and they give you a bath, or they help you with that, let me tell you something.
Wash your hair.
That's special.
It is. It is. There are all kinds of intimacy. I mean, it could just, they could just wash your hair or you could wash your partner's hair. But it's great if you two could just get in that bathtub. That solves so many issues.
Just look at this person who you sleep next to, as somebody more special than other people. They are. They are not other people. They are a special person, and therefore it might be a good idea, for you, even if you don't feel like it, even if you're just tired and you're just pissed off or at work, and you do something and you gift it. You don't have to say you're gifting it. Just act like it's Christmas. Just act like, gift them some of your time, some of your touch. And I think your relationship will all of a sudden take on some new meaning. So this has been Spicey Fridays. This is what you can expect. And it's going to get hotter and it's going to get more open. And we look forward to bringing it to you, giving of ourselves, and saying the things that other people might not say. Because for some reason, me and Sarah, in the work that we do, we were put here to do this, to say the things that other people are afraid to say, and to kind of give permission and to give license so that people will give themselves permission to do things that make them happier and make them feel significant and make them feel needed and heard, and the kinds of things that make for happier relationships. So look, I wish you a great weekend, Sarah. This has been a blast. I totally enjoyed this, and I'm so happy that a few weeks ago we decided, to basically take what we have experienced and bring it and broadcast it. And I think it's going to get better and better each week. And again, I would remind you that Sarah and I really spent the last year not on relationships, but on finding and discovering your amazing edge, which is something you can tune in on Mondays, because we'll be talking about the chapters in this book and how you can find that special superpower that's inside of you. I don't say superpower with some little meaning. Inside of everybody is a
superpower,
and it's born from the adversity and the challenges that they face, and they lose access to it. It's a power. It's like a powerhouse. Energy and power that you never thought you had will help you find it. Look forward to the next case we're going to,
because this book is also about pathways. I'm just opening up a page. I don't know if you guys can see it, but there's some of the art that I did about the stepping stones. So this book provides a lot of pathways to success as well.
expect us to be offering you some things. We're about to, finish up on a relationship ebook, that we've prepared specially for you. Expect us to be offering webinars and a 3-week challenge. If you're stuck in the mud, you relationships out there, and you can't get it right, 6 tasks, 3 weeks, 6 tasks, not too hard, not too difficult. Look forward to telling you about it soon. So wishing you a great weekend and glad you tuned in. And please share your opinion. Did you like this? Was this good? What'd you like? What you didn't? We got, we put our big boy pants on before this in our lives. So, say whatever you want because we easily can take it. And we want you to share the truth. Be real. That's what. So
We're,
look,
we're here to add value. So tell us how we can serve you. Really.
and thanks for tuning in. And Sarah, thanks for
Thank you.
for that this emerged literally out of thin air, the decision to do this. So and thank you, StreamYard. You're pretty cool.
Yeah, StreamYard.
And
Love
we'll see you again next week for Spicy Fridays. Hope you had a good time.
All right. Mark your calendar.
See you then. Take care.
See you then. Take care.